Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel again. So in the last video we studied about Matthew Arnold, and he was the first critic of Victorian age. Matthew Arnold gave us some points like poetry is the criticism of life. He told us that culture is something that is best known, thought and said in the world, and how it is an antidote to Philistinism and provincialism. He told us that literature must guide us with moral guidance, and it should have shared beliefs, cultural guidance. Now there comes another critic, Walter Pater, who studied at the same tradition, same environment as Matthew Arnold in the Oxford. So he had an idea that life must serve art. Although Walter Pater was someone who enormously respected Matthew Arnold at the same time, but he had some disagreement with some of the points which Matthew Arnold made. And in this video, we are going to study about that. So the first point was life must serve art. Now, what do you mean by this? Because Matthew Arnold was saying that art must serve life. So, according to Walter Pater, the purpose of human existence is to have the most intense, most beautiful, and most fully felt experience. And art, that is painting, music, literature, that is the highest form of that experience and existence. So, according to Walter Pater, this is how life must serve art, and this was totally against Matthew Arnold ideas, who was saying that art must serve life. Now, before moving forward, let us just have a small glimpse over the Walter Pater's life. He was born in 1839 in London. He studied at Oxford, and after that, he became a tutor in one of the college of Oxford University. He had a quiet life. He did not have a pompous life. He did not travel much. But he read enormously, and he did not achieve that much fame which all of the writers which we have studied till now. And other than that, he had two of the famous works which are important for us as well for the literary criticism perspective. The first work was The Renaissance Studies in Art and Poetry, which was published in 1879, and it is about the collection of essays about the Renaissance arts and critics like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Giorgione, Botticelli. It is about that. But the main important thing for us regarding the literary criticism perspective is the preface and conclusion that has been added in this work. That is important for us. And because of that, we get to know that how it is the critical prose, most influential critical prose in the history of English literature. The next work, which is important for us, is The Appreciation, which was published in 1889. And it is about a collection of critical essays on English writers, including the lives of Wordsworth, Coleridge, and Charles Lamb. So we will not discuss that much here and about the works. We will be discussing about the main points, the fundamental ideas that were propagated by Walter Pater about himself, about his ideas, and against Matthew Arnold, how he stood against him. So the first point that is important for us is definition of critique's job. What did Matthew Arnold told us? Matthew Arnold told us that it is not important that the critic who is writing, the critic who is analyzing something, their views, their personal experience, that is not important. He told us that there must be the touchstone method. We should have some lines, passages, and according to that, we should measure that which quality actually we are performing right now. And based on that, we should do things. Walter Pater stood against it. He said that this is not important. If you are clutching your own feelings inside yourself, if you are not propagating your personal emotions outside, then how can you say that you are doing justice to the work? It is the foremost and the first work of the critic that he should write. He should give the judgment not objectively. He should write what he is feeling with the experience, what the thing that he has been listening, he's been reading, what the thing is doing to himself, what emotions that does that thing is initiating in them. That is the real emotions, that is the real job of the critic, and this is how they should write. This is the real process of critic's job. Like, what is this work doing to me? What exactly am I feeling, and what specific qualities of this work has been producing this response in me? Like, these are the questions that a critic must ask to themselves. It is all about the inward world. not the outside world. And Matthew Arnold was telling us that it is all about the outwards world. It is all about that what has been done, and we should measure all things according to that basis. That is the total opposite which we were studying in Matthew Arnold. And the term which Walter Pater used regarding this was aesthetic criticism. That means beginning with personal experience rather than universal judgments. No, personal experience is important. That is aesthetic criticism. That is a term which we'll use for these things which I have already explained to you. Moving forward, the next point is art for art's sake. Now, what do you mean by that? Art for art's sake means the art should be viewed as the art's way. Art has no need to justify itself that I am this way written, I am that way written. That is not important for us, and that is not even needed. So art does not need to justify itself by serving outside itself anything. No. Before that, I would like to tell you one thing which I missed, that art for art's sake is, if in the French it is known as l'art or l'art. Or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or wrong, but I will try to write the right words here in the subtitle section. You can see that this is a direct criticism of Arnold, because Arnold was saying that poetry is the criticism of life. That is quite opposite, which we are saying. He is saying that art for art's sake. Art has no need to justify its own existence to anything outside the world around it. The third point is burning hard with a gem-like flame. Now, what do you mean by this? So he says that we have small time, we have limited time in this world. We every moment the seconds are passing, and we don't even have the ability to recall each and everything that has been passed. So what can we do in this? We can, in that reference, he is saying that we should burn like a hard gem-like flame. Like when a gem has been flamed, then the light passed, then how it is, it shines, it looks brilliant. In the same way, when we are given this life, we should fully experience it. We should not carry the weight, the burden of how we should behave in the moral way, how we should behave in the particular way, how we should propagate some things to the society, to the system. Not We should live in an organized way. We should not worry about these things, not at all. We should focus only on one thing, that am I experiencing the full moments of my life. Now, some critics thought that he is ignoring the main thing about the society. He is not taking care of what needs to be propagated by a critique in the society. To which Walter Pater took this whole thing from the first edition, in the second edition when he published, because he was very much worried about being misunderstood, about getting misunderstood by the people. And in the third edition, he again added this thing with a whole paragraph of explaining that why did he say that and what does he actually mean when he's saying certain things. Now, the fourth point is all art constantly aspire to the condition of music. Now, what do you mean by this thing? He says that form and content are inseparable of music. For example, when you listen the music, when you hear the music, do you think that what is the lyrics he is saying? Am I resonating with these lyrics? You just feel that whatever the rhythms are, whatever the music notes are, I am feeling comfortable, I am feeling good, I am really in the mode of enjoying the life. You don't question that how is it written and what it says. You are just liking it, you are vibing with it. In the same way, he says the form and content, they are the same thing. You don't have to get worried about in the literature that how it is written, what forms are written, what it says. No, that is not even needed. Like experience of hearing the music is the whole point. So in the same way, literature, poetry, whatever it is written, when you are reading it, you just have to feel that you are enjoying the process. That is the whole point. Later, this idea also propagated by T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound, and they said the same thing, that the fusion of form and content. They talked about this kind of total fusion of form and content in the symbolist movement, which is later a different kind of literary movement. But this is how it started from here. The next point is the Mona Lisa point. Walter Pater wrote about Leonardo da Vinci in the Renaissance work. in the work which was named as the Renaissance Studies in Art and Poetry in 1879. He talked about Leonardo da Vinci. In that, he described the Mona Lisa not as a painting, but he described each and every experience, that Mona Lisa is a living experience, and she has been experiencing each and everything by sitting at the stone, by sitting at the cross bridge of the human desire and human knowledge, and she has been witnessing everything for centuries. He expressed each and everything in that, like he has been having discussion with Mona Lisa, the same way that it we sees in the painting. He described each things in the words. And W.B. Yeats, while he read all the things about the Mona Lisa, he got so inspired about that, that he added this thing of Mona Lisa section in Oxford Book of Modern Verse. Now, the last point is Pater's influence on Oscar Wilde. So, Oscar Wilde was a disciple of Walter Pater, and he was very much inspired by the words Walter Pater was saying about the life, about how fully experiencing, about inward world, everything he was saying. Oscar Wilde was very much inspired by him. He agreed with the thing that life imitates art more than the art imitates life. And he took all the things, he read all things about Walter Pater, and he turned them into a public philosophy, a personal style, and a cultural movement, which is a different thing. But we can say that Walter Pater had a very great influence on Oscar Wilde as well. So till now we got to know that how Matthew Arnold and how Walter Pater, belonging to the same age, Victorian age, belonging to the same institution, same tradition, same language, how they were having different mindset and different perspective towards the literature and the poetry. How Matthew Arnold, he was all about the seriousness, moral thing. How he was all about these things. On the same time, Walter Pater was having the ideas that no, it is all about the experience. It was all about the inward world. It is all about how the critic is feeling after evaluating your world. It is all about that thing. It doesn't have to be that you have to judge a work on the standards which are made by the outer world peoples. No, that is not important. Now, if you will do that, that will be an objective type of analysis and judgment, and that is not at all needed. So we can say that Arnold was saying that what does this literature does to the society, and at the same time Walter Pater says that what does this thing does to me. One was outer world, second was inwardly. So this is all about Walter Pater, and with this we come to an end of Victorian age of critics. And in the next video we are going to start off modern age critics. And the first writer we will be going to study is T.S. Eliot. So see you there.